Well, hello and welcome. Today I'm going to be doing another oil and wax painting with an owl. This one I do have a reference for. I took this picture on a hike in the morning. I think it's a barred owl, I believe is what it is known as. It's pretty cool. He's just staring at me. It's a little freaky, but it's pretty neat. So I'm going to do a painting of this. I'm going to use kind of the similar technique as I did last time with a lot of wax, and I'm going to try and keep the colors kind of bright and fun, but I wanted to try it with a little bit of a visual reference this time. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. To get started, I'm gonna sketch out the colors, or sketch out just some shapes, and then I'll jump right into it with wax and layering, and go from there. So, I brushed that had a lot of black and left it in the cleaner for a little bit, just to get a lot of that out. So that's all set. I think we're just sketching this out. Just use a little round brush today. And thinking for the outline color on this, I'm actually going to do some blue. A little bit of a strange choice, but I'm thinking, since he's set against a bunch of trees and he's kind of in the shade, so he's got a lot of sort of shadowy colors going on around him. It will be maybe a lot of cool tones with little bright spots of yellow-green here and there, but largely kind of a shady scene. So I'll take a little of the Sevres blue actually, and I'm gonna mix into that. Actually, I'm just gonna keep it on the side. A little bit of this lavender spike. I'm just gonna work with that for a minute. So, just kind of sketch him in here. It's up on a branch. I cropped this so that you would have kind of a perch and a view above us. Just make him a little bit more intimidating. He isn't actually a very big owl, but it's still kind of intense to see him there. Let's see. He definitely saw me before I saw him. This doesn't have to be precise. Just trying to get his form. Kind of sketched in. Get some longer feathers here. Another branch that's over here. And these don't have to be at all exact. It's got a tree back here. It's got some leaves coming in and covering up parts of it, but I can still see its trunk. Let's try that out. It's going to be lots of different kinds of shapes in here. part of what I liked about it. A lot of this will get covered up too, just kind of creating a overall feel for it. Has like 2 layers. I can't tell. I mean, I guess its head might be spinning around a bit too. It doesn't really matter. It'll all work out. Probably. Let's see. It's probably enough of that. Put a little bit of this phthalo yellow green out. It's kind of it's a handy color. And also this cadmium yellow light. I think for some of these furthest, brightest colors, I think might actually start laying in some of those with a brush too. Then as I get closer, paint will get a little thicker. But I'm just going to start establishing some of these light areas. So just putting them in kind of thin, squiggly. I'm not going to stick to this for too long, but just a little here where I want to get some of these kind of brightest areas sketched in a really thin paint. Almost kind of frames them in. And it's not quite as much of that really light stuff up here, so I'm not going to put as much of this thing down. I liked actually going over some of this blue and having it fade a little bit though. Kind of feels accurate to what I'm seeing. It's funny, just getting kind of back into this, I was like a little nervous. I did the last painting, I felt the same way too. I was like I'm not in the same, quite in the same rhythm as I had been. But once I start, I feel a lot better. So maybe there's a lesson in that if you've been wanting to start painting. Alright. A little bit, I think a little brighter. Up here too. Really bright. kind of cool. I swear I'll do nice stuff soon. There we go. There we go. It's kind of cool. Okay. Yeah, go. I'm gonna switch over to a knife now and start mixing up some wax. Do a little brush wash though. Got really intense eyes. It's gonna be a fun one. Okay. So, start by mixing up some colors. This wax is still. I'm gonna start with some fresh wax too. It'll work pretty well for a few days, but then if it's been on your palette, it just starts to get a little too tough. A little bit more. No, not quite as much. It goes further than I think it's going to a lot of the time. Okay. I'll start in the darker areas of this. So I might use a little bit of cobalt today too. Put it back there, I guess. Viridian as well. I've been using a little bit less Viridian lately, but sometimes I just go through phases with colors. I try to use different things. It keeps a little bit more variety going, but I think this has a lot of green in it, and it will be handy to have a transparent green like that. I'm gonna need some reds as well. Get some burnt sienna out, and I've got some yellow ochre and some alizarin crimson will be good to have too. Let's give that a try. Alright, so I'm gonna start with the darkest areas first. And for that, I'm gonna do a little Viridian, a little less alizarin, and make a pretty dark green. Mix a bunch of wax into it though. Just start finding a few places for this. And already you can see as the wax is starting to kind of spread over this lighter area that's sort of creating a little bit of form already. It's pretty cool. Take a slightly lighter variation of that. Mix that in too. I'm really not gonna worry about being too specific with anything right now. Just mostly try to create the right kind of shapes in the right sorts of places. The light in this is really going to come from having dark enough darks to really set it up. I really like having a subject in an environment. I feel like if I set it up right, it makes it a lot easier to figure out what details need to happen in the subject itself. There we go. That's pretty nice. It's got a little light coming in up here. I've got a little bit more light that could be coming in kind of around his head than is in the reference, but I think I'm gonna just bump that up a little bit. Got a little bit more dark kind of through here and down in here. I'm gonna keep mixing this as I go. I'll do a little more, and put some cad yellow in this maybe even too. It's better if I don't have everything all the same everywhere. It's like a much deeper muddy brown green. Okay, get a little more of this phthalo yellow green into the mix. Just layer that up here, maybe a little bit more viridian, maybe even a little yellow ochre into that. Nothing about this has to be too precise. Maybe a little cypress blue even. It's kind of just bringing a bunch of different things in. I want to keep having the light sort of peek through this, so I'm going to try not to overdo any of these darks. I'm just really trying to build up kind of this leafy foliage texture. Give it like a really nice impressionist vibe. And then what I can do is even come back in and put some more lights on top of it. But right now I'm not using any white. I'm using the paint and the transparency kind of to create a lot of this in the night shapes. These leaves that are kind of flowing in this way. Now, starting to build up a little bit. So I'm going up, kind of more toward where the sky, I imagine, being able to show through a little bit. I'm adding a little bit more blue and a little bit more wax. It's definitely a little easier having a reference, having something that just you kind of get lost in the just like the visual and just reacting to it, kind of translating it. Pretty good. Do a little bit of a alizarin and burnt sienna mix for a minute. Put some wax into that too. Start putting in some of these tree shapes. Probably do a little bit of Meridian into that one. It's funny, I'm kind of using the Zephyr's Blue in an interesting way, where I'm using it for the fact that it does have a little bit of white in it. I'm using it as a way to lighten a little bit right now. Something I would normally do, but it's kind of working, and it gives a little bit of like a I don't know, a cool light to the whole thing. Let's see. I like that. Being pretty quick so far. I feel like this has a lot happening in it. It's kind of nice. I'm not even worrying too much about any of these edges. Like, I made these outlines, but I'm also just kind of going over them however I feel like it to right now. Okay. Let's start putting some colors on this owl too. So this sort of alizarin and burnt sienna mix that I had made. It's kind of like a dark brown gray. It sort of works for this branch as well as some of these sort of lower feathers. These could even be a little darker. I'm going to add a little ultramarine to this. Just making it a little bit more blue and a little bit dark. Yeah, that works. Just starting some of these lower shapes here. And as I come up a little bit, getting a little lighter and a little warmer, so I'm going to put a little more burnt sienna, maybe a little bit of cadmium yellow light even, or cadmium yellow. Just start. He's got kind of a speckly look to him, so I'm just putting these, it's like little blobs down, and we'll do the same thing on this area. There's going to be some sort of highlights that I need to add in for this as well. Let's do, just kind of see little shapes, little wrinkles and shadows in between his feathers. Just putting in a little indication of those. They're kind of things I'll be able to use later. Let's see. Kind of a yellow, brown, green I'm seeing in here too. As I get more and more of this kind of covered up, I start seeing some more like subtle shifts in the colors, and I just try to kind of keep layering them in. Take a brush to it for a minute or two, and just sort of make some adjustments here. Some of it's just kind of finding these little gaps where things need to blend a little bit more. Little places where I don't like seeing the light coming through. Because if you have that sort of everywhere, it can be really kind of like distracting, I guess. So just make some adjustments. And I know that as I move around, I'm picking up a little bit of whatever color I was last using, but that's okay. It actually kind of makes the whole painting sit together a little bit more. Edge of this branch here. It's definitely something I want to bring some attention to. A nice way to create these layers here, though. branches and the leaves going over them. Just all kinds of different things happening here. It's good to kind of mix things up, I think. Like, I do everything in kind of one style for a while. It can get a little boring. A little bit more. All right, there was a little bit more of this. Tree back there. That up and get back to the knife. Let's start mixing up a little more. Let's start bringing in some lights into this as well. Let's see. I'm gonna make kind of a gray brown first. Just start. Make a couple variations of it actually. Working in my owl's face here. And it's okay. I'm gonna cover up his eyes for a minute. Just want to really get the form figured out. I've got kind of a couple colors on my knife right now, and it's letting me kind of create these feather-like shapes. Bluer here. Overlapping some of this brown too, kind of dragging it in. Trying to keep in mind the direction of the feathers too. A little bit more. Okay. Putting in a little bit of this blue. Just kind of creating the shadows on the face. Because of the size of this relative to kind of the scale of my knife, I'm not going to get a ton of detail, but I'd like to get kind of that attitude and the expression, which won't happen immediately. A little more white. More wax. Really trying not to get lost in details. Just trying to get sort of the shapes and texture. I think it's kind of working. All right. Okay. Got this sort of light area. And I'm going to have a dark area. And you want to put the eyes back in again. Let's see. I think that's actually got a bit of the right idea in it. And then sort of a darker gray right around the beak here. Actually fill in this whole area and then bring the light back out of it, maybe. Some of this is just sort of strategizing since I am working with a large tool. There we go. That's looking a bit better. That one's got like these eyebrows. see if I can get this beak on here. Pretty good. Okay. A little bit of white. Usually gets to a point when I'm doing like fur or feathers where it starts to feel like I've got most of the colors in the right place, and then it's just a matter of kind of sculpting with them a little bit and getting the right look out of it, I guess. Starting to look pretty good. Okay. Just trying to bring the right amount of light into it. Just little tips of the feathers there. Really good. Okay. Take a little more white. A little of this kind of green mix that I had before. A little of this other white. Start putting in some of this light backing here with the trees. Just kind of bringing it through. Some of these original colors. Bringing in a little here. I'm gonna keep this a little lighter, but I actually do want it to help the owl stand out a little bit from what's behind. So. Maybe just fill it in and then build some light back up out of it. bringing in some light here and there. It's kind of helping to not have everything quite so white. I'm enjoying this. I've got it's like multiple colors on my knife right now. It's kind of helping create some of these forms. Let's put this tree back here. Okay. That's pretty good. Keep moving some colors around here. Just like really kind of work all this foliage in. Maybe I'll even detail some of these leaves, but it doesn't really feel necessary right now. Sometimes it's good to have sort of a color repeat itself. To kind of bring this shape through. So I had this above here and then brought this in below. Even though there's not a lot of definition happening, kind of starts to give you the sense of all this light sort of filtering through. That's pretty cool. All right. So I think pretty close to taking a break now. I'm gonna do just a little bit. I'm gonna try to be pretty restrained about this, but I want to do a little adjustment just to give myself, not with that brush. This one. Just to give myself a little bit less texture in the face so I can bring in a little more detail later. So just refining the eye shapes a little bit. Overall, I like sort of the thick textured look of all of this. I really don't want to lose it, but if I can bring just a little bit of the expression in here, that'll be nice. Sort of lets me get a little closer with some of these feather shapes. That's feeling pretty good. Do a little bit of the same with this wing shape here. Yeah, it'll just give me a little bit more to work with as I come back to it. Yeah, and then I think I'll be able to do a little bit more with the light, a little bit more with reflections. But yeah, I think it's off to a nice start. Cool. All right, I'll be back in a few. All right, and I'm back. Let's see. I really like how this is coming along so far. I'm going to just kind of work on sharpening up some details, add in some leaves, and I'm going to actually sort of draw in and paint a little bit more specifically to. I really like this texture that's happening so far, so I think it will kind of lead into all of that and make it just a little bit more crisp, a little bit more three-dimensional. Yeah, so I'm just gonna get started. I've got a little bit of wax on my palette already. I think I'm gonna add a little bit more cadmium yellow, both light and medium, and a little bit of white. And compared to the first layer, I always find that the second session, usually I use less paint, just because I'm making kind of smaller marks and just defining things a little bit more. Let's see. I think I'm going to start out with drawing some of those leaves. I think for them, gonna use kind of two colors to start. I'll just use this little knife today. But I'm gonna do kind of a light yellow-green and kind of a blue-purple. So we'll do a little alizarin and ultramarine for one. Add some wax into that. Thinking for these, I'm gonna outline these leaves first and then sort of fill them in. Okay, and my yellow green, take some cad yellow light, a little phthalo yellow green, and that'll work pretty well. Doesn't need to be my sort of brightest yellow green, but kind of want one that will stand up a little bit. Might even add a little white to that. Start there. I'm just going to take this tiny brush that I have, relatively tiny brush, and I'm going to put just a little bit of linseed oil on this brush. Oops, it's a little goopy. I can stay over there. Okay, let's put that over on the palette just so I can grab a little bit of that. Just make this a little thinner, a little bit easier to work with. And then I'm just gonna sketch out some of these leaf shapes I'm seeing back here. Oh no, I don't like that brush. Let's try. You get this little filbert. It's actually a little bit bigger, but maybe a little bit more crisp too. Yeah, okay. There we go. And then up front here, I don't really have these here, but I saw these leaves sort of somewhere else in another picture from the same walk, and I was thinking they might look good here. So I'm gonna try them. Some of this is just to sort of have a bit of a structure. I wanted to have sort of these leaves. Sometimes I forget my words. Sort of getting a little bigger up close. Just create like a little bit more depth in this whole thing. But I liked this leaf shape because I feel like it kind of echoed the owl. And again, kind of just made a good way to have some different shapes here. Let's see. I think that's working fairly well, just creating a little bit more. Probably swap back to my knife in a second. Purple actually works pretty well on these feathers too, though. I do feel like something that is worth remembering when you're working with wax is that it will sort of dry. It doesn't really change color, but when it dries, it's a little bit less shiny, and being a little bit less shiny also makes it look a little bit lighter, I think. So it's just something to keep in mind. Sometimes can be a nice thing too. Let's see. Yeah, I think I'll go back to knife for now. Oh. I'll make up a couple more greens. So grab some Meridian, a little bit of this mix that I had, and just start shaping in some of these leaves here. And they really start to stand out when you give them a little bit thicker paint. Something I want to do with these is also keep them fairly varied. So thinking about a lot of lights coming from back here. So there might be some edges and things like that that get some really bright light. But yeah, kind of works. Maybe a yellower one too. Feels like, I think because I'm doing a lot of sort of outlining and then filling things in, it feels like more like drawing than painting in a way, but it's kind of a nice change from the usual. I think. Can work. I do like picking up sort of multiple colors, working them in here, and mixing just a little bit of linseed oil into it was kind of making some of these darks a little darker and a little shinier, which is nice. Yeah, okay. A little bit more of this yellow, a little bit more of this yellow green, a little bit more white. I want to make a really bright edge color here. A little bit of wax. Of the light kind of coming through the leaf itself. Same over here. Bring a little more of that in here. bring a little more light through here. It doesn't need much though. Okay. A little bit more reflected light. Alright, that looks pretty good. I'll let those be for a little bit. And I want to work into this little branch here. Make kind of a gray. Take a little of this purple and yellow. A gray brown, a little more purple, it's a little too brown. Add a little white into that. And I want to start adding in some really small lines here. A little lighter. Okay. Got that. Got a little. Kind of the same thing, maybe a little bluer though. Not that much blue though. Over here though, making a little bit of a brighter, rough texture over here on this. This branch is definitely seen better days. It's working well enough for an owl to perch on. Keep adding some texture in here. The more kind of different tones and colors you can have next to each other that go from sort of light to dark will give you something that looks kind of rough, whereas if you have a lot of sort of blended shapes and colors, then it will look a lot smoother. So for this, I'm definitely think going in and doing a second pass is gonna work well for it. Okay. This is kind of working well to pop that out of the background. And then up here, I've got kind of the same thing. It's a little rougher, but it goes kind of a little bit more green and orange, maybe. Maybe like a green and a brown. Let's make a brown. Grab a little bit of that. Maybe even a little yellow mixed into this green here. it's a little strong, but I feel like it's kind of working to go put a little bit more green over this. Just give it a little bit more of a reflection of what it's got around it. It's always fun to, when you paint, and you can like see a little bit of a color and then decide to really push it. I like that. Okay. I think I can even bring a little bit of this sort of yellow orange onto some of these plants right here. Maybe just bring a little extra warmth to these kind of closer shapes. Scrub it in over here. This kind of gives you a sense of some of the sunlight filtering through. I'm actually seeing a little bit of the same on the outside of this wing here. So I think that'll blend in nicely. And just a little more wax to that too. I want it to be a little thicker when I apply it up here. A little warmer, a little redder. So come down here. Maybe a little lighter even. Try it. Go a little more green. Got a couple of feathers here that are just catching a little bit of this light. Not too bad. Sweeping out a little bit of this. Felt like a little too much. I don't want to lose the spots too. The spots are really cool. Okay. Looks pretty good though. And the other thing I'm seeing is like right behind this wing here, I've got kind of a dark area that's helping kind of pop him out for the background. So it's gonna work that in. Some of this sort of tree bark could be a little darker too. Also a little bit more vibrant. A little much. create a little bit more of this sort of bark texture on that tree. Do the same thing on this one here. I'm not gonna worry about like over defining it, but I like having a half. A little bit of form. Pretty good. Okay. So I think now I want to focus mostly on the owl now. Just kind of keep bringing the details in and make it have a sharp look. So going in here and just seeing what colors I have that I can use. This kind of red purple. Kind of a good one for a little bit more up here. Start thinking about some of these feather directions too. Not putting this all down in a line, but letting it kind of hint at some feathers. I'm gonna really take too much, I don't think. Go around this top of the head area a little bit more. Just get a bit more of a crisp edge. More white. Gonna go into this gray area here. I want kind of a very cool white blue for some of these edges here. Just gonna putting this on kind of thick, so I want that white to kind of stand up and give kind of that layered feather look. Yeah, that's good. And I don't want to cover up all of this. I kind of want it to step so that some of that sort of warmer brown that I had in here before will still come through. Maybe I can go even a little whiter. As I come down here. And a little bit more blue. So some really funny reflected light here, but I like it too. I think I'm getting there. I want to do a little bit of a highlight on the end of these feathers. Kind of get the effect of the light traveling under this branch. Just getting those. Same thing on this one here, actually. to get the right color shift there. And the right shape at the same time. A little tricky. Scraped a little of that off. Pretty close. Might be pretty good. See. More little dots here, I think would be good. Go a little more white to this blue. A little more wax. This face sort of set up right. That's good. Good. Okay, I think a little beak highlight, if I can do that. Not too bad. Close, really close. I'm just gonna get this edge around his head. Make it a little bit more crisp. Another kind of cool thing with the wax is if you can kind of go back into things as to put them down and blend them a little bit, or just kind of adjust them. You can do it with just the paint too. It just has a little bit of a different feel. I don't know. Try it. Try it and see. Oh, that was the other thing I wanted to do. a little bit of white and blue. So I did want to come back in here. Just bring a little bit more blue light through. Actually, I'd say it came together more or less a lot quicker than I expected it to. A little more of this reflected blue light to this edge here. Yeah, cool. Checking out all these edges. Red felt a little too red. A little better. Let's do a little bit of same here. Just blend it out just a little bit. Don't want it taken away from Owl too much. A little of this blue into. I really like this. Texture's really come a long way. I think I want to do just a little bit of this edge over here too, to give it a little bit more contrast. Just like small adjustments that I think make it read just a little better. There's a lot of green in this, and that's okay. But all right, that's everything. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this, and I hope you have a wonderful day or night, or whatever you're off to next.